Yeah, today I would like to welcome everyone. A few days ago, I did an introduction of what this narration is all about. I just feel that some of us, even before they are born, have a background that is such that it can influence the trend of their lives from birth right through until they pass on. In my case, that is the sort of situation I'm talking about. But in it, I'm hoping that we will be able to look further into reasons why certain things happen, and then maybe we can learn from that, because then we can take, the right decisions in moving on with our lives. So today I would like to talk about the period that approached the First World War that we had. Some events that still perturb me up to this day that happened, and that are also kind of related even to my own background, and that is a time when I wasn't even born. This is the period of from 1914 to about 1918, when the First World War was about to start. We had a situation of whereby this war was mainly concentrated around the European countries. But then it didn't stop affecting like the Americans, it didn't stop affecting like East Africa and West Africa. Therefore, this is why about 40,000 men, African men, were taken from Africa to come and assist in terms of that world war. But the impression, it is as if they were assisting in terms of skilled work, whether they'd become soldiers, trained as soldiers, which would have given them probably some credibility. But largely it was about labor, repairing bridges, infrastructure where it's broken in the course of the war. In South Africa, where I come from, around 812 to 820 men, black men, were taken. They sailed off from Cape Town in a ship called SS Mendhi. And in case you are curious to know about the SS Mendhi, you only need to Google it, and vast information comes out around what happened with that ship. So it sailed off from Cape Town. Its final destination was going to be in the northern part of France, a place called Le Havre, I think. But then when it sailed off from Cape Town, it went to Nigeria in Lagos. From then it went to, there's a town just close to the Isle of Wight that it went to. If I remember, if you don't mind, I could just have a quick look what it was. Yeah, that town is called Plymouth. That is where it went for a few days, and then it was going to be crossing over to Le Havre in the northern part of France. And then on the 17th of June, 1917, it set off very early hours of the morning, then beginning to head off to France. And along the way, about 20 miles from, it was about 20 miles from St. Helena Point, which is on the Isle of Wight. Another ship called Darrow rammed into it, and that ship was like 3 times the size of SS Mendhi. It rammed on it and causing it to sink. And then it didn't stop, it continued on its voyage to wherever it was going to. And in that SS Mendhi, as it was sinking, out of the 800 and so men, there was about 60-something men bodies that were recovered. Beyond that, all the rest of those men sank and drowned and died and were never recovered. And at some point there was an inquest, I think at the Westminster, where the navigator of that ship, the master of that ship, faced an inquest, and in that inquest he was found guilty of having in rough seas simply navigated without following the proper protocols that he was supposed to have done. And then a sentence that he got was like a year suspended sentence of his license, so that he doesn't navigate any ship in that period of time, in that 1 year. I mean, that is amazing in the sense that, I mean, you had hundreds of lives that were lost, and therefore he gets a suspended sentence. But moving on from that, in the Christian community in South Africa, there was Reverend Mashaba. He was from the Methodist Church. He kept that reminder, that this sort of incident happened in such and such a period of time. He kept that memory alive. And my own grandfather, who happened to be also a priest, reverend for the Lutheran Church, took part in discussions with him and other bishops and reverends, within the Christian communities to try and do some monuments, matters that could remain as reminders, and also raising funds for families so that children of those men who died in that SS Mendhi could be helped, their wives could be helped to survive. And up to today, I mean, now it's become a big issue. Like in South Africa, every year there is a commemoration. There are monuments, for instance, along the English Channel where this thing happened. There's also monuments in France, but all those monuments where you find the graves, those graves were for the people who were administering that SS Mendhi, and it happened to be just white people. But there are no graves for the black people who drowned on there, and there were no bodies that were, recovered. So that is one issue that I thought maybe we could consider, why those sort of things happen. The next one that I thought we could consider has to do with the migrants. For instance, in America, there are complaints about Mexicans coming through, Donald Trump was building a wall at some point. In Europe, there's a huge concern about migrants, traveling in small boats, not properly designed, for that sort of voyage, and accidents is happening. People, I mean, with the UNHCR, and UNHCR says there's about 80,000 people that have come to Europe just this year. And then the organization for the migrants that tries and to be proactive against, to governments for them to help so this sort of voyages don't happen. That organization claims that just this year about 1,800 lives have been lost. This is not considering even the lives of those boats that are not known, that left certain cities but never arrived to their destinations, which means they sank in those rough seas. So that is another matter I thought we could talk about. And then when you consider that, also this past year, There is an organization called Ocean Gate Expeditions, whereby people pay anything up to about £150,000 to get on this vessel that can take you down to go and see the Titanic, closer to the coast of the Canadian coast, going down to see the Titanic, its wreckage, how it looked like, what happened at that point in time. But this last year, there were reports that a vessel disappeared. And as soon as a report came out that there were 4 people in this vessel, one was a man who was a billionaire, and with his son, and the navigator of this vessel, and then I think a friend of this billionaire. This matter soon attracted huge attention within the media and governments. Even the defense force in the UK got involved in that. NATO got involved in that, in that concern, did various efforts to help to find these people. France, for instance, ended up sending a vessel that is used for research work. And then this vessel had robotic tools that could go as far as that depth where that Titanic shipwreck is at. And within a few days, yes. But what I'm saying is, you don't see those sort of efforts made elsewhere, especially to people who kind of look different. What happened like on the coast of Greece when that you had people from Syria, people from Egypt, people from Pakistan, There was not much concern when and even that ship, when it sank because it was the Greek port authorities were trying to tow it, but they were towing it sideways. And all this information is on the internet. And that information is testimony of people who survived from there, who are still alive. There are about 90-something people who survived from over 600 people who were in that small boat that was badly designed, but they could cross those sort of shores. So those are the sort of situations that I thought we could talk about. But my granddad, because of he lost his brother, during that on that SS Mendhi. That Reverend Mashaba I'm talking about, he lost his uncle, He was also amongst those people who passed away, who drowned in that SS Mendhi. So that relationship gave them concern to be conscious about what is happening around them. That is why they kept that flame, alive in memory of those people. So it's those sort of situations that are concerning, why certain things happen, especially to people who don't look like you, and because they don't look like you might be thinking they don't deserve the same attention. I don't know. But those are the matters maybe I thought we could talk about. So if you do like these sort of discussions, do please subscribe and share them. And then also there is a link you will see at the end of this narration that will give you information in my grandfather's own handwriting, though you may need to use a translation to transcribe it from Zulu to English, which, with software you can do those sort of things these days. Then you can see the details from what my grandfather and Mashaba was saying at the time of their life. Yeah. And then on the next narration, what I'll probably talk about is the influence he had on my life that then tended to take the direction, my own life's direction, to what it became later on. So I hope you'll be able also to partake in these sort of discussions if you think they are worthwhile. And then please do subscribe and let us share this information. And also you join in maybe telling us of your own stories. Thank you.